In my current job, I review over hundreds of plans and reports. I will share assessment plans that fails. Also, I will share assessment that works in this video to basically explain how we can make a reasonable plan that works. Here are the common reasons that I have found that assessment fails. We are too much into the pedagogy. We want to see all levels of Bloom in 5-6 proficiency level for each cognitive complexity level. We want to test all learning outcomes, all students, all courses, every single time. That makes the rubric really complicated. It takes too much time because of that. And then it's not justifiable. Worst of all, it's not really used in any sort of improvement of student learning. That's the primary reason we are doing all this mess. Here is an example of assessment failure. So I was the chair of assessing this goal area 3 a few years back. I only worked on the analysis and the report writing stage. I was not involved in the planning and the rubric development stage. So here is the rubric that is used to collect the data. And we have these 4 learning outcomes under that category, goal area 1, 2, 3, 4. And then each of these we are looking at 5 different proficiency level. So that makes about, if you have 50 students, that's 1,000 items. 4 by 5, that's 20 times 50,000 items. And this is why it's so complicated. It takes too much time. And when I was given the data, I have found extremely low response rate. Only 2 departments out of 11 departments offer courses in the general learning this goal area 3 responses or submitted the data. Only 2. 11 departments did not have anything. So it was a very low, statistically insignificant response rate of that data. Worst of all, it was not collected following the rubrics. So when I found that after a close investigation that the instructor did not really follow the rubric, they collect data whatever way they want, and then we are given that. At that time, from that point, it just wasted of all of our effort, starting from the plan, collecting data, until I found that it was really not collected following the rubrics. So what can we do? We have to set a reasonable expectation. First of all, not every single courses have to test every single learning outcome and all 5 levels proficiency level. It could be just 2 learning outcomes and just 3 level of proficiency. Meet the learning outcome, did not meet the learning outcome, and advanced level achievement of that particular learning outcome. I would say just focus just 1, not even 2. If we just if one course focus on just 1 learning outcome, that should be more than enough. And this is why. We probably offer 40 to 50 courses under this area, goal area. So if you have 1 learning outcome for each course, then you have at least 10 courses per learning outcome. If you have, let's say, 20 students, collect 20 student data, is 80 response. That's huge. So you really don't have to look at all these 4 learning outcomes for every single course that you are doing. Just focus on 1. It will still give you enough sample to make a very reasonable conclusion. So when we make the assessment plan, we have to think about the reality. The type of institution we are working for, the amount of resource available. Even if you have resource available, would you going to collect 5,000 students' data? Absolutely no. That would be stupid to do, because that's not the idea. You should then invest on that resource on something else. It has to be simple enough. So I'll share example plan here now based on the assessment plans that I have seen worked in reality. This is not the idealistic situation. This is the reality that I have seen the assessment work. So in this example, I've been using this automotive engineering example for all these video series. It has 7 learning outcomes. This program has 7 learning outcomes. And then you can see here that learning outcome number 1 and 7, we are looking at in year 1. So we are focused on, this is a 5 to 6 year accreditation cycle. So we're trying to complete everything in 5-year cycle. So if you look at learning outcome number 2, for example, learning outcome number 3, we are looking at year 2. So this is the particular year we only focus on their communication skills. Now, I would like to talk about something before that. If you look at these courses, only total 13 courses. So you have 11 here, or 10 here, and then 3 here. So only 13 courses are taken by the automotive program. Everything else is math, physics, chemistry, mechanical, electrical, computer engineering courses. And we are not assessing that. We're only assessing our courses. So it's not really a lot. Also, if you look at this 102, 160, 262, they are very basic courses. They don't provide much information. So if we focus on the upper level courses like this, there are only 7 here, and then these 2, 3 important, the junior design and senior design. That should basically give us all the information we need to see whether students are learning or not. Let's talk about this number 3 that I started, the communication skill. I want to share an interesting fact about this communication skills. Now, engineers need another form of communication, which is engineering drawings and computer-aided design skills, which we can see from 387, 488, 489. Junior design and senior design courses extremely use that CAD modeling, so we can test that. Because we don't assess the English or communication studies courses, we can see that their writing is poor. We get complaints from the industry that their writing skill is poor, because we have never felt like to kind of assess that, because they're taking that from English communication studies. Oh, that's not our responsibility. But these students are graduated from our program, so it's our responsibility to make sure that they get this before they graduate. So I think one of the reasons they are lacking that, because we never assessed that. If we don't assess, we can't really improve. Here is another example, the team working skill. Most of our courses have team. The senior design, junior design have team working skills. We have never, I don't recall that we have assessed that ever. And we get that complaint from the industry too. They're not really prepared to work together. So as you can see, if you don't assess, you can't improve, and the importance of assessment. Now, to get our points back, the original point was making a reasonable plan. As you can see here, that in year 2, we only focus on their CAD skill or writing skill. In year 3, we only focus on their team skills. So we are only assessing one learning outcomes, just one particular year, just focusing on that thing. So I think this way we're not investing too much time. However, we know exactly whether they are getting these learning outcomes or not. So have the expectation reasonable so that it works. Same for the indirect assessments. You can see that basically these licensing exams, they basically information available immediately after take it, so doesn't require much effort. This one takes a little bit, not that much. However, this one takes huge effort. The alumni survey, industry survey, it's very difficult to get some response from these people. However, you are doing once every assessment cycle, every 5 years maybe, so it's not that much complicated, or it's doable. We have done it. We got some good information from it, useful. So it's recommended to do it. Now, this is I would say, the best pieces of information we get from the industry advisory board. Every semester we meet our advisory board, we get lots of feedback from them, and those informal feedback basically provide us huge information on our weakness, strength of our graduate, recent graduate, or past graduate. So that helps us to improve. Now, to have the expectation reasonable, you're not really making too much work, I think. And this is based on my experience, that assessment plan that I have seen work. So I think that's all what I wanted to talk about here.